My name's John. I'm a bar worker here in Cardiff and a member of Unite the Union and Unite Hospitality. And it's brilliant to see so many trade unionists and fighters from across our movement all coming together, demanding permanent change for the working class, whose living standards have been hit the hardest to pay for the cost of living crisis. A crisis caused by the greed of big corporations and the unwillingness of the right-wing politicians and, quite frankly, all of the establishment parties we have in Westminster and in Wales who refuse to take them on. So just a little bit about the industry that I work in, hospitality. It's an industry which I'm sure we all know is dominated by students and young people. And unfortunately, the majority of young people in work aren't in a trade union due to decades of union busting and some trade union leaders in the past who, quite frankly, weren't up to the job. And even though there are well over 7 million members of trade unions, and even though trade union membership for the past 5 or 6 years have increased, this hasn't been the case for hospitality workers. And the bosses take advantage of that. Illegally being sent home early with no subsidised pay, last minute rota changes that make it difficult to plan our lives. Under 18s have been paid below £5 an hour, which is poverty pay, 0-hour contracts, and some managers who think they can get away with bullying and so on. And now the hospitality industry is in deep crisis. Due to crap conditions and crap pay, the industry is historically understaffed, we're overworked, and there's been instances where students have even had to do a busy shift and then do an exam. And none of this is good for mental health, which of course is another crisis that we're now beginning to face. And I think, you know, your average manager at a pub is not the enemy. Most of them are students and young people themselves, just trying to earn a living, and many of them are still trying to figure out who they actually are as human beings. And last year, Unite the Union did a survey of its members recently, which found that nearly half of bar workers are considering leaving the industry, 74% because of excessive hours, 60% because of unsociable hours, 58% because of low pay, and shockingly, 95% of hospitality staff face sexual harassment, discrimination, and bullying of various kinds. And the working conditions of these workers aren't due to a single individual, although I would say there are certain individuals at the top who are more responsible than others, but ultimately it's a system that they represent, a system that exploits workers as much as possible for short-term profit, so that people at the top can keep their influence and power. And hospitality makes over £80 billion a year. Much of it is uninvested. And that's another cause of inflation, by the way, the unwillingness to invest in production and in jobs. And so there is the wealth and money to solve all our needs. The problem is, it's us, the working class, don't control it. Which is why we need to take our ideas out of the movement and to the wider working class. And in Unite the Union, hospitality is one of the fastest growing subsector with around 28,000 members. And just a couple of weeks ago, I went to a very optimistic launch of the new Unite Hospitality branch in Cardiff, the first one in Wales, that was kick-started really through the campaign at the Cardiff Glee Club, where they've got over 85% union membership, and yet the company are refusing to recognise the union, and now they're starting a campaign of union busting, and we're supporting them all of the way, so good luck to them. But Unite the Union have had significant victories in London, Glasgow and Northern Ireland, and now we want to build something in Wales. And Unite the Union are planning on investing millions of pounds into this and transforming the sector with new organisers for their industry. We're calling for the need of at least a £15 minimum living wage, We want full control of the rota, not bullshit consultation at the last minute, which means nothing. We need a socialist Green New Deal, and the answer is not to let private enterprise run our lives and destroy the planet. It's bar workers that know how to run the industry, not millionaires who get richer over our hard work. And the reason why so many precarious workers don't want to organise, don't think that things are going to get better, is because what support and track record are being offered by the people here. We have the charlatans at the Cardiff Council using fire and rehire only a few years ago, who allowed some of the bin workers to be on agency contracts for over 15 years, who allowed bullying to spread. And amazingly, they now want to privatise the St David's Hall. And we have a Welsh government who, under the anti-union sham of the social partnership, dismissed and laughed at the concerns of the teaching unions a couple of years ago over their attempt by the force of the reopening of the schools, as well as throwing the grades of students under the bus before they conceded. And now in Wales, they are not supporting the strikes and are offering pay cuts in the so-called deals that they're offering. And that's why it's up to us, trade unionists at the grassroots, to not just keep up the pressure and fight for jobs and conditions, but also fight like hell for political representation for young people and the wider working class. And it's my view, and the view of many others now, that a new party is needed that doesn't side with the bosses, but all of us here with socialist policies, and we need to build confidence and optimism. And that's why I'm supporting a motion at the upcoming Unite Policy Conference for Unite to disaffiliate from Starmer's Labour and allow union members and branches to decide who candidates to back in elections, and follow the lead of the Bakers Union, who did the same 2 years ago. So if you're walking past today, if you do one thing, join the trade union. That's the best way to defend yourself against attacks from bosses in the system. Because an injury to one is an injury to all. They will try to play young people and older people against each other. They will try to play white and BAME people against each other. They will try to use divide and rule to stay in power. But ultimately, our movement will win. We know both ideas are popular, so go back to your unions and to your workplaces and put them forward, because we all inevitably believe that change is coming. Thank you, solidarity.